just like co-branding and working with each other. Like, hey, we did this fun interview. Oh my heck, it's just going to spin forever here. Yeah, sometimes, we'll get a handful of people watching it live, and then we put it out on our pages, on the Righteous Rebels page, on our personal pages. And here's my countdown.
I've seen anywhere up to 800.
Yeah, up to 800,000. Hey, we all inflate numbers, right? No. Hey, this is Jen Saunders, and it is Wednesday, which means what? Another edition of Live and Unscripted. This is the February 21st, 2024 edition, and I'm really excited today for you to meet our guest, Tyler Rickenbaugh. But a little bit more on Tyler here in just a minute. For now, just a few housekeeping items. First of all, how did we get almost to the end of February already? Like, holy cow, the year is flying by. And speaking of flying by, we've got some really cool things for you to just check in with, especially if you are one of our female rebels and are wanting to be a part of our all of a sudden I lost it. Surviving Life and Leadership Retreat that takes place in August on the main Salmon River. You can go to anyway, therighteousrebels.com, and you'll get to just peruse our really cool website. But you also can find out more about the river trip that takes place August 14th through 20th. And you can register there or just reach out, and we're happy to have a phone call with you and let you know all the payment details and such. You also can go there and check out the Love Me challenge that we reposted from last year. Really fun 7-day challenge that you shoot us your email and we'll send you the videos, one a day for 7 days, right to your inbox. It tells you a little bit about what Righteous Rebels is about, and a whole lot more about learning how to love yourself. Let's see, today is Live and Unscripted. Tomorrow, so every Thursday, we also have the Creative Unraveling Paint Cast that Leah hosts, and I get to be the guinea pig and practice letting go of all of my angst and perfection right here in front of you. And I think for now, that's it. We have some cool stuff coming up. We've been doing a little changes on the website, so go and check it out. We want to say thank you to those of you who are joining us from the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, also from my personal page, from LinkedIn, and from YouTube. And would encourage you that if you're not already a member of the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, head on over there, click the join button. We'll let you in because the more the merrier. Now, take note, there is a The Righteous Rebels Facebook page. That's ours. We don't do very much with that. You're going to want to go to the group. So head on over there and click the join button. Boink, we're happy to let you in. That is where we will post announcements. That's where we post our podcasts, our paint casts, our whatever cast. We'll post it there. So with that, let's just start how we always start, which is with a little bit of breathing, which is really an opportunity to practice a super simple tool to bring your heart rate down, to bring your thinking down, and bring everything into this just like beautiful, coherent rhythm, where in that space, you can make decisions that are powerful and meaningful and with intention because you're right here with you instead of in some crunchy space. So this is an opportunity to really quickly learn how to use the tool of breathing, to let go of everything that's already happened in the day and to let go of anything you think is going to happen in the day and just be right here, right now with yourself and with us. And I also love this because it gives us an opportunity to come together in this moment where this broadcast is about letting inspiration be the guide, and it allows all of us to lean in a little bit into what that is in front of us and just bring out a really beautiful conversation. So today, let's practice just simple box breathing. You've probably heard about it before. And I always give a count. Just do the count that works best for you. So what it is breathing in through your nose really deeply, like you've got a balloon that goes all the way down into your hip or sit bones. Breathe it in, so fill it up. I always say for a 4 to 6 count, hold that breath for the same count. Breathe out through your mouth for the same count. hold the exhale. So feel that tightness, and then breathe, and then just start the process over. So today, as you do that, feel free to like breathe in something that you're grateful for, and to let go of something as you're breathing out. Let go of something that just feels crunchy, or just that's uneasy for you, or just not pleasant. So breathing, we'll do the first one together, and then we'll take 30 seconds. So breathing in through your nose. Oh, as you do this, I also invite you to do it with either downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever suits you best. So I'm going to close my eyes, in through the nose, really feeling it deep, holding that breath for the same count, breathing it out through your mouth, really releasing that air, holding the exhale, and then starting it over. Let's do 3 rounds on your own. And then starting it over. All right, and finishing up whatever round that you're in. When you're ready, just feel free to open your eyes. I love how that feels. I love how just I feel the calming that takes place. If I really get settled, I can actually feel the breath as it moves in and out of my body. That's taken me a long time to really get to that place. I feel how my feet settle on the floor. I can feel like the fabric of my hoodie like pushing into my armpit. I can feel how the waistband of my pants is like sitting on my hips. And so I would invite you to share with us like what that simple tool of breathing just did for you in the 60 seconds that we did it. And then if it's something that you practice, which I would encourage daily practicing this often, if you find yourself in a space where you're wanting to be combative, or you're wanting to be defensive, or someone's coming at you maybe, or you have a tough decision, to just pause, create that little pause for yourself to bring everything back into coherence and bring yourself present, so that you can actually respond versus react. So I would love to hear what that looks and feels like for you, maybe what breathing practices you currently practice, or what you've tried in the past, and let us celebrate that with you. So with that, let's get the real party started here, and welcome to the screen our guest today, Tyler Rickenbaugh. He's got his own countdown coming, and ta-da! There he is. Dude,
Okay.
are you wearing? I just realized what shirt you're wearing.
Yep.
I love it, Mr. Bophades himself.
Yep.
So cool. Hey, first of all, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
And taking time to just share your heart and your inspiration with us. So I met Tyler. Has it been like 3 weeks? Maybe 3 weeks ago, while we were doing. So I host a trail race. That's one of the things I get to do, is I host a trail race on the tufted volcanoes. They are 2 of the world's largest tufted volcanoes right here in my backyard in Manan, Idaho. And the hospitals that Tyler works for, so they're our sponsors, so we'll just name them: Mountain View Hospital and Idaho Falls Community Hospitals. Tyler has the privilege of working for them. We're out doing some work together, which gave me the opportunity to meet this beautiful soul in front of you here. And, you know, he was there doing video work and taking pictures, and I thought, oh, this is really cool. Like, I get to watch him do his thing. And then as we started talking, I was like, what? You do what? You have other things too? Which I love finding out those things about people. So I of course immediately was like, we got to have a chat, because I love the little bit of the story that I know, and I know there's a whole bunch more, and we're going to get into that. But for now, Tyler, what are some other cool things? Like, what is it that you do for work? What fun things?
Wow, for work, I'm a full-time photographer, filmmaker, so I help brands and people tell stories that generate growth and build brand revenue. So that's kind of what I do. Mountain View is just one of the clients that I work with, and
Awesome.
Idaho Falls Community Hospital. So yeah, I do I do a lot. I've always had like personal projects, which is where Bophades Nuts started. I love food, so just
Right. And good
that was
food.
something. But yeah, I mean, I love the outdoors. Like I moved from Wisconsin about 2 years, no, like a year and a half ago. We lived there, my wife and I, with our kids for 6 years, and just it was time to come back home to closer to the mountains, closer to the outdoors that we love. So
Oh, I love
it's
it.
good to be here. Like my parents live here, and so it's nice to like be in a place that that constantly inspires you. Not that Wisconsin is it's beautiful there. The people are great, but they don't have
Right.
they don't have like the Grand Teton. That's
There's something about that, right?
yeah, there is.
There's a power and a beauty that's just like soul filling.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so let's start this way. I'll ask my one question, and I
Okay.
think that might help fill in some of the other answers because I recognize like when someone's like, "Hey, tell me what you do," that can create some
Yeah.
blocks. So, my one question is this: what were you like as a little kid, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Wow. That's when I was a little kid. Good question.
I mean, it doesn't look like you're far from being a little kid now, but
No, I always knew that like I wanted to be a photographer since I was like 12. Like
really,
yeah, my heart was set on it. So I kind of have known my whole life that's like what I was gonna do. And I feel
okay,
really
I
blessed.
love that answer. I don't get that very often. Like that someone actually is doing what they felt like they wanted to do as a young person. So as you said about 12, so what like how did you know that? How did that come about? Like what happened that
Um,
you're like, I want to do this?
you know, I fell in love with National Geographic. That's to me like the thing that I'd always was like drawn to, and like looking at, magazines and just, flipping through and seeing like, man, like these are beautiful. Like it'd be so cool to like do what they're doing. And so, I was making home videos on my parents' camera, like camcorder, anything that they had really on like
Yeah.
Adobe Premiere, like the cheapest version possible on our family PC. I was making videos all through high school. And like my neighbor across the street, he actually owned a portrait studio in Utah, which is where I
Oh,
grew up.
wow.
So yeah, I just kind of like lucked out that he kind of like took me under his wing, and I would like work with him, kind of just understanding photography, and I lived in Cache Valley, so like that place is
Oh,
beautiful. Like Logan
yeah,
Canyon is beautiful. So like
right. Again,
I
right
have
there
to go.
by the mountains and
Yeah, so like I grew up in the backcountry, and it's kind of weird to think about because like I would just go after school, and I can't imagine I told my parents I would just like take my camera. I bought this like Nikon D40. It was all like my life savings at the time from Best Buy, like this kit camera with a couple lenses, and I went out and I would just like go off into like the woods and take photos. And I'm like, man, like I can't believe like no one knows where I am. I don't have a cell phone, so
right.
but like that's what I did. Like I had my tripod and like I was just out taking pictures. And so, come back, full circle, I graduated 2009, and now it's, X
Okay,
amount of years later, I'm here doing what I did, a long time,
way
like,
back then. Okay, so the question that comes to mind as I'm listening to you and as I'm watching your face is what especially as a younger person, because I think that probably morphs for us as we start to mature and age a little bit. But as
yeah.
a younger person going off into the like you say, into the backwoods with your tripod and your camera and just taking pictures, like what like I feel as I'm listening to you, I'm like, I can feel myself getting lost in what all of that was. What did that feel like for you? Like what did that bring to you? And what like why did you want more of that?
I mean, I just felt like I was connecting to something that was bigger than myself, and I doubt I realized at the time, but like looking back, like that was one of the things that I felt like I could just be myself. Like there was no pressure. Like
Mm,
you could get away from, being in high school, you could get away from everything that you were dealing with at that age. And because you're just like so dialed in on whatever it is that, I'm trying to photograph. And I just like everything else didn't really matter. And it was just a way for me to just to zone out and do something that was, personal to me. And it's just a way to like express myself, like that and writing have been like the two things that have been like kept me like centered, so to speak, on just in life.
Sure.
And like, because when I was I think I was a junior. No, take it back. I was a sophomore. My parents like, hey, we're gonna move to Idaho Falls. And so
No.
yeah, I was like, no, it's like first time possible. And so I committed myself to like, okay, I'm gonna write in a journal every single day.
Wow. Had you written before, much before that? Or?
I had a little bit, but
okay.
I didn't start to get serious about it until high school. So I kept like a 3-ring binder full of just loose leaf paper, and I still have those journals today.
Wow.
I have a whole box in my garage of just journals that I've written through. And so I've been writing ever since. Like I've kept a journal since like that time. And like that was really what got me through like a lot of the hardships I faced. Is just writing. Like it just is able just a way to zone out of whatever it is I was going through. And I think photography naturally came along with that because it's just a way to visually express how I was feeling. And
sure.
Just to show people how I saw the world and to tell people, about the things I care about. And so that's kind of a long answer, but like that's
no, I love it.
Yeah, still true today. Like, those two things have really, changed my life for the better.
So my mind has like so many questions because one, I know the power of writing for myself. I too have several, I spent several years like filling a couple of journals a year. And I used to say like when I write, I know what I'm thinking because I can see what I've said. I get that visual of it. And that power of like getting from your head down through your heart and out through your hands. Like there's such a power and a beauty to that. I have deep respect. I've fallen out of that habit, and getting back into it has felt a bit arduous. And maybe sometimes because it feels like there's so much to write. But as I'm listening to you, a couple questions came to mind. When you said that you could go out and you could just be yourself, you could just, get away from all of the stuff in high school and probably, I mean, I met you, you're a smart dude, and you're a sensitive dude. And I would guess that some of what goes on regularly just was really kind of abrasive to your soul and to your spirit. And so I guess one of the questions that comes up is like, what were some of those things that you were wanting to, I'm going to just get away from, that when you went off to that place,
yeah, I mean, just
found that solace and let.
Oh no, are we getting frozen here? Oh no. Host left the broadcast. All right.
Are you there? All of a sudden I got the big blue screen of death.
Yeah. So I think I got it. So like, what did I escape from and how did I find solace? And
yeah. Okay. So I didn't hear any of that. Do you mind if you?
Yeah, no, I didn't share any of it. So
okay.
Okay. What did I escape from? That's a good question. As a teenager, just drama with girlfriends and
right.
the typical just like my family life was great. So like I didn't have any problems with like growing up with like my siblings or anything, but it was just a way to just be free with like your thoughts, I guess. Like that was like, it's almost, I guess in retrospect, thinking about it now, like just escaping from yourself sometimes, like you can never like outrun your own shadow.
Right.
But sometimes it's nice just to like, we're our own worst enemy at times. And so being able to just do something without having to like think like, the whole breathing exercise that we did at the beginning, like I think it's important um to do. And just like, I have 3 children, and when they get upset, it's like I have to remind them sometimes like, hey, just take a deep breath.
Right.
Like, it's gonna be okay. And there's you can get through anything in life if you just breathe. And I think if you like, that was kind of like what I was learning, I think, as a high schooler, was just, finding something that would allow me to, step away from everything that I was facing, like, internally. And because I
Yeah.
think, one of the things that, like, I struggle with now is just being able to, like, express vocally, like, my thoughts with, like, my spouse, like, with other people. And
I
so, like,
hear you, brother.
I would do it with, like, but it was easier for me to do it in, like, writing. Like, I could write everything out and not, and it once it was out, like, it was out in the open, and I felt like, I felt better, and that's, I think, like, that was kinda like my first love. But then photography was just a way to me to show that, visually. And, I fell in love with, filmmaking. And I think that was, like, the biggest thing for me, is after seeing, like, Christopher Nolan, the director and screenwriter, like, his films, like, especially, like, the Dark Knight trilogy, that's something that I fell in love with in high school, with, um, as I've progressed throughout the years. And that's really something that's changed my life, because every time now I go through, like, hardships, I always think of, like, films. I always think of, like, the screenwriting. And, like, when I was living in Wisconsin, like, this is kind of an off tangent story, but it relates. I decided, I want to write a feature film script. And so
Ooh.
I was like, I found something I was passionate about. And I'd always was fascinated by the relationship that Jim Gordon from, like, the DC world has with Batman. Because I just, this is just coming off of, like, seeing, like, the new Batman with Robert Pattinson. And I was like, I'd always wondered, like, why does Jim Gordon trust Batman so much, even though he doesn't know who he is? And so I wanted to explore that. So I wrote a whole feature film script about Jim Gordon. And
Wow.
I did it in, I did it because I wanted to enter this contest, and I did it in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I dedicated, it was incredible. Like, I went to the library every single day and wrote for just 8 hours a day.
Holy
And
cow.
it was, like, the most exhilarating thing I've ever done, because, like, you're just there, and you have, like, you're surrounded by books, library. I had, like, my headphones in, and just, like, writing. And you're putting it together in your mind, then you're putting it on paper, and you're just, like, piecing this, like, story together. And I entered it into 3 different contests. I placed in the quarterfinals in 2 of them.
Wow.
I'd never written a screen before, like, screenwriting like that. So it was cool. And so, like, earlier this week, I just felt like, you know what, I'm gonna rewrite it. That's one of my goals this year, is to rewrite it. Not that it was a good first, like, draft, good first,
Yeah.
like, experience, but,
Dude,
like,
but you put it out there in such a big way. Like, that's incredible.
yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Like, it was a lot of fun. And man, it was so rewarding. But, I just been kept thinking about it. And, I've understand, like, more now of, like, how to structure films. And so I was like, man, I think I can redo this and make it a lot better. And, how cool would it be to, like, actually be able to direct it? And
Right.
so
Like,
that's another
I'm
huge.
feeling so much, like, excitement, like I can hardly contain it, because I'm watching your face, and I'm feeling the emotion, and I'm seeing it come through. And, like, I don't even know how you're maintaining what you're maintaining, because I'm super excited. Okay, so for those of us who are less familiar with, like, filmmaking, screenwriting, things like that, explain a little bit what screenwriting is.
Okay, so hold on, let me grab a book. I'll show you.
Yeah, perfect.
Um, so this is the most recent, the award winner that swept, Oppenheimer. This is the entire screenplay.
Okay.
So you see it, and it's just words on a page. But this is so Christopher Nolan wrote this, and at the top here you have the character Oppenheimer. You have what it is that they're doing or saying. So, and then it's just kind of like you see the character, you see what they're saying, and then it goes to the next. And so at the very beginning of the scene, it'll kind of say like, into your classroom, Berkeley, later. Lawrence enters. I turn, point to the board. So this one is the most interesting because he wrote it in first person, which typically you don't write a screenplay in first person. Like this is one of his, it's completely different than everything else he's written. But like I think all of his screenplays, except like maybe one that's, I don't think I have Interstellar, but everything else I have. And so like, especially the Dark Knight trilogy, I'll show you. This one's thick. So this is all three of them. You can see how.
Wow.
So all three of his scripts are in here. So he goes from start to finish. It's like some of them have like a storyboards at the beginning, and you can kind of see just kind of get his thoughts. And like it's cool to go through and look what was written, but then to actually see what was on screen, because there's some of it's not always the same, especially with like the Joker and the Dark Knight. That's what I wondered. Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of stuff that was like kind of mad-libbed, and it's really fun to go back and look at like, oh man, that's not how it was written, but it turned out great. So it's a lot of fun, and I haven't done it for a while, but I feel like it's not that I haven't been actively writing. It's just I've been thinking about it and trying to figure out like what I would do. And I think I have a good direction forward with it.
That's really amazing. As I'm listening to you, I'm like, what is it that, like, what does it bring to you? I'm trying to like formulate the question. Like, why does this excite you? What does it do for you? Like, how does your mind work when you're in this space of, I'm going to call it, sounds like you had a big space of flow when you wrote the first one.
Yeah, it's really, it's fulfilling more than anything. I feel like, again, it's a way for me to do something that's bigger than myself. And like, that's always something that like with work, with life, like I want to feel like I'm doing something that's bigger than myself.
Right.
And I just know for me, films have changed my life, and I want it to change other people's lives as well. And I was actually this morning on LinkedIn, I posted this video that I'd made during like the lockdown of 2020. And it was just like a short 2-minute message that just kind of explained like how I was feeling and how other people were feeling. But I don't think I ever shared it on YouTube. Like, I don't know why, but like I put a lot of effort to it, and I think it turned out really well. And so I shared it, and I was like, it's been a while since this has happened, but it's just a message about like, because there was just like so much chaos in 2020.
Right.
And it's just a message of like, well, how do we find like hope during these moments that are just absolutely chaotic? And for me, it's just like a way to really evoke emotion in people and to share a message that hopefully resonates with them. Like, that's the whole goal, is just to be able to touch people's lives in a way that, because you can just do it so well with audio, with video, and like when you put it together and you tell a story, like it's hard to like replicate that in any other like media. And
I like that it brings in like so many senses of the different senses. Like it hits so many of the places.
Right.
So as I'm sitting here listening, like, wow, watching a film with you would be really fascinating. Like, I probably would want to watch you more than the film, just because I feel like your mind would see so many things differently, and like what went into, like, I had the opportunity to be on a movie set with my kids many years back. I got to see like behind the scenes stuff and how long it takes to make a 30-second shot or a 15-second shot, and all the stuff and the terminology and watching. And that was super fascinating. And it changed the way that I see that, like, especially if my mind starts kicking in and how I see a film. And
Yeah.
as I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, he gets us on a whole different level because it's all here for you.
Yeah. It's funny, like a couple Sundays ago, my three daughters were sitting there watching it's like the old Snow White, like the 1940s Snow White.
The cartoon?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
the cartoon. And so we were like watching it for like the first 5 minutes. And I paused it and I was like, okay, look, this is what's gonna happen. And I explained to her, like, I broke down because every time you watch a film, it's like usually always the same pattern of like you introduce a character, you identify what they want, you find you introduce a villain, you understand what she wants, and then typically, like, once you establish that, the character will go to a place outside their own world. So for Snow White, it was she left the castle, she was banished, about to be killed, and sent to the woods. So then she meets a guide who are the seven dwarves, and she wants, like, the very first thing that she says is she's talking about love, and she wants to find her true love. So, like, that that's going to happen, and then you see,
Another character will be.
yeah, you see the prince show up randomly out of nowhere and start singing. So you know that if we introduce that person in the beginning, he's going to show up in the end, or there wouldn't be a story. So I'm explaining all this to her. So I was like, okay, what does Cinderella want, or what does Snow White want? What does, like, the queen want? And so, because it's like once you understand, like, the pattern of how it works, you can easily identify, like, okay, this is what's going to happen in the end, and, like, how it's going to finish. But it's like the journey of how you get there that makes it so rewarding.
Yeah.
And it's so, yeah, my wife, like, it's a love hate when we watch movies. Like, I try not to say anything when we're watching it, but I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to happen, or like, this is, you'll see this later down the road, because I've studied enough films to, like, understand, like, sometimes, like, I love being fooled, and, like, it's awesome when
Right.
you
I was going to say, it's like those cheesy Hallmark movies that we all watch. We're
yeah,
like, we can predict every
it's
movie.
gonna happen.
And then one hits you and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
I think, like, Interstellar for me was, like, one of those where it was, like, just this out of body experience the first time I saw it. And then, like, Tenet was just another one of those where I was like, "Man, what did I just watch?" But you can't just, like, stop thinking about it because it's so good. And, like, that's I love about movies, is because it's something that you take with you, and you see so much of, like, Christopher Nolan, who he is and what's meaningful to him, and you see it in his films. Like, Oppenheimer was the same way. And I mean, I love cinema, as you can tell, but it's something that's just like, a way for me to just do something that allows me to express myself. And it's always like keep coming back to is I just feel satisfied. Like, it's so fulfilling like, those 2 weeks when I was writing, like, I didn't take a single picture that whole time. And I
Wow.
was like, man, like, if I had to do just one thing, like, that's what I would do. If I could just, like, write. And it'd be cool if I could get to a place where I could just do that. But I love photography. It'd always be a huge part of my life. Like, I love filmmaking, but I think it started with writing, and then I found that I realized that I can make a living taking pictures, and so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm doing something that I love, and it's kind of just like now I'm trying to, like, bring all of them
Yeah.
together.
Seriously, as I'm listening to you, Tyler, I am falling more in love with your person. And partly because, like, and that's a huge compliment. I
Thank
felt
you.
you when we were up doing the thing at the Manam Buttes, and I just thought this guy, there's depth to him that
Yeah.
we're not seeing right here. But the fact that you're out there with a camera, and I know that when you have those skills and ability, like, you do see the world and you do see things differently. But as you're talking, I'm just like, dang, now I have a better understanding of, like, what my own soul was feeling inside of you, and I love it.
Yeah.
A question that keeps coming up, and dude, I can hear littles in the background. Totally okay.
Okay.
Like,
She's gonna be hanging out with her baby. So
yeah, this is real life, and she's welcome to come introduce her, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Be the dad. And so yeah, be the dad. My question is, like, how what are some tools that you use for yourself? Like, for myself, to sit down and I think I like writing. I understand the expression part of it, but I haven't completely found like the joy in it yet. It's still like I want to. It's probably because I want to judge it. So I
Yeah.
guess my question is, for the people out there listening or who come in contact with others like you and I and Leah, who are these creatives who enjoy art, photography, writing, how do you sit yourself down and do the thing, especially on the days when you don't really want to? Or do you on those days? Or like, what really motivates you forward?
Oh man. I'll tell you what, one of the best things that I got for Christmas, I'll show you, was
Please do.
was a pair of noise canceling headphones, because like you literally cannot hear anything when you put these on, and it's like on quiet mode. And I think like
I just felt the audience go,
it's like the best thing ever, because you literally cannot hear anything else. Like I can't hear like my kids playing and screaming upstairs. I can't hear anything, you know. And like when I was writing, I would listen to like the Batman soundtrack, or I would listen to something else. And I was like, you know, typically like I'll say a prayer before I like start doing anything, so I can just like focus and like, okay, like this is my intention. Like I'm setting out to do this, and like, and I'm just like focus. Usually I do it for like an hour at a time, like 45 minutes to an hour, because then it's like I gotta get up and like stretch and like read, like set.
yeah.
But like, you know, if you can just focus for like 45 minutes at a time, like it's amazing like what you can do in that short amount of time if you're just like 100% dialed in on whatever it is that you're doing, as opposed to just like trying to just like grind through it, because like the grind doesn't always work. Like sometimes it does, but like
agree.
I can't do that as much as I could when I was in college. Like I have to like center like myself on like whatever it is that I'm doing, and you know, for short periods of time. And I think like that's come like more naturally now that I'm a dad, because like I have like only certain windows of when like I work, you know. And so because every time, you know, they want, like they came in, they want me to play, they want me to be dad. And so like that to me is helped me just to like, I have 45 minutes or I have like an hour and a half, like I can't waste this time. And so, you know, put on some headphones, put on some like music that just helps me focus. And like that has been like a huge blessing to me. It's just being able to like work extremely hard in short amount of time. It's like that, you know, with exercise, like the time under tension, like that's where you build, you know, the muscle. And so, you know, being able to do that in your own life, because like, man, I can get more done in a 3-hour workday than I could in an 8.
Right? That piece right there. That's so, I think about that a lot, and how we're trained, you know, to do that. But really, there's so much distraction and things that we really don't get done in that time. So I really appreciate that you're like, let's take focused time and let that be the time. This I'm being handed notes. Just a second. This one.
Yeah. Is it called Chaos?
Is your video called Chaos?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you're okay. We're making notes and we're putting things in the comments. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I have Leah's right in front of me. She writes all the comments and stuff in, so she's here with us too. Villain was this?
That's something else.
Oh, okay. Okay, so called Kiss. So we'll get that posted. And so can you describe, I'm like, what was my other question? It's the celebration piece. Like, how do you, I find celebration is super important, that we celebrate all of our wins. We call it CAW here at Righteous Rebel.
Okay.
How do you celebrate after you have taken a 45 or an hour minute chunk and you've stayed focused and you've got all this stuff done? How do you celebrate that? Or how do you celebrate the fact that you like chose to be a focused dad in that amount of time? Or that, you know, maybe on a day that you just got out of bed, like how do you celebrate all of your wins?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever really considered like how I celebrate. Like last night, I think was a good example. You know, my kids love, we're in like the Cinderella stage. Like I have 3 daughters, so
Yeah.
they just, love dressing up, and they're like, Dad, can we play Cinderella? And I was like, okay, I don't know how to play that, but let's do it. And so
I
I
love
like kind of like, they're like, okay, you're gonna be the stepmom. And so
you don't
I
get to
just
be a prince.
yeah. So like I took on multiple hats. I think I was a prince at one point. So like I started just like to narrate the story, and I started kind of like act it out.
Aw.
And I was like, okay, like you're so and so, and like I had like my phone, I was playing music. Okay, like now we're at the dance, and then like, oh, introducing Cinderella. And so I kind of just like every night I tell them this story. It's called Stinky. It's about Stinky P, who's a skunk, and he has like goes on these adventures. And right now, like they love looking forward to it every single night because and they're like, well, Dad, what's going to happen? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know until I'm starting to talk about it. Like I just make it up. And I think like that piece has really like helped me to like connect. And because sometimes like, yesterday my 6-year-old called me out. She's like, Dad, how come you don't play with us? And I'm like,
Oh,
sometimes I just don't know how. Like it's not that I don't want to, like I just don't know how. Like you guys were
yeah.
riding your bikes outside yesterday, and she's like, well, why didn't you chase us? And I was like,
Oh,
I didn't
I
think
love
about
that
that.
she's
But
giving you cues, like
yeah, I was like,
inviting you to do it,
yeah, I was like, I don't
inviting you to say, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. And so I was like, I just need you to tell me. Like, I need you to help me play because, I was a kid 28 years ago. Like, I've forgotten that. Like, as a kid,
Oh my gosh.
you don't realize that until like you grow up, and it's like, yeah, you kind of forget how to play. And
I I can't even tell again, I'm falling more in love with your person as we stand here. Like partly because for me, I hear you, the playing piece. It's so important in my own role. It's what we do here at Righteous Rebels is we teach through play and through creativity. And the fact that you just sat here as a young dad and you gave that attention and a very honest answer to your daughter of like, I I don't know how, like, and you gave her the opportunity to step in and be the teacher as well. Like so beautiful. And I commend that. Like kudos.
I appreciate it because it's like I don't have all the answers. We're pretty like my wife and I are
Right?
pretty honest with our kids. Like, they call us out, and it's great. Sometimes it's hard. Like the feedback sucks, but
Right.
um, it's good because it's like I don't know. Like I've not been a kid since for so long, and I just need reminding of like how to play. And so
Well,
like
and
it
so
would go,
beautiful to be able to say, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't have all the answers. Let's learn together.
Yeah, so, like, how do I celebrate the wins? Like, that was to me yesterday a win, playing Cinderella and being able to connect,
Huge.
like, wrote up my journal, I was like, "Man, this was awesome." Like, I had a lot of fun, and I feel like the win for me is when, like, that during that whole time, like, I was just, like, focused on, like, didn't have my phone, wasn't looking at my watch. I was, like, completely engaged in what I was doing, and, like, that for me is a huge win when I'm not thinking about anything else other than what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
like, it's just so fulfilling because it's like, man, like, you're making core memories because it's sometimes so easy to just, like, do something, but then you're just, like, completely checked out and you're not thinking about whatever it is that you're doing. But, like, when I can, dial in on those moments, like, that's a win for me.
That's amazing. And it's one of those things too that like, as we start getting on in our careers and our work that sometimes it's still easy to get so caught up in ourselves that we still forget those pieces. And so to those who are listening, like this is a reminder for all of us, myself included. I don't have kids at home anymore. I haven't for a long time. But it's that when you said I put my phone down and I gave my full attention to whether it's a child in front of you or if it's the person in front of you, that you give them your full attention. Like it drives me bonkers as an adult when I'm with somebody and I'm I've offered my time to them, or said yes, we can share time and space, and they're on their phones. And you know, I have very much been guilty of this as well. So I'm not just speaking outside of myself. Or now the things on their wrists, and they can feel it buzz, and we're playing a game, and they're looking at their phones, or we're having lunch, and they're like, what you just said is of putting that stuff down and just saying, I don't know how to do this sometimes as an adult, and giving your full attention to the person, especially if it's a child in front of you. Totally commendable. Totally commendable. Okay. Oh my heck, there's so many things I want to ask you. And now I'm like, my heart is swelling in my chest. Like there's so many things, but we are on a little bit of time because we try to keep these close-ish to an hour. And let's go to the other creations that because I know you got a lot of stuff going on. I'm excited to sit down off camera together again. And I think we're going to do that tomorrow, right? For our project.
Figure that out.
But to just like have more conversations with you and collaborations, like seriously, my heart is like, just like, but for now, let's talk about those other imaginations you got going on that are now presenting themselves to the world. Stand up and show us your cool t-shirt again. This is Bophades from, I'm going to let you explain it because one, I tried to talk. Oh, it got moved off the counter. I have a little bit of the bag left.
So I brought two of the most popular protein and energy. So
I love it.
It's funny how it happened. Like it was totally by accident, but I think it's one of those like tender mercies where like something really happens like when you're not thinking about it. And like good things happen when you're just like not expecting it. Like, I don't know if you've seen Christopher Robin, the movie with the anime, like the real live one with Winnie the Pooh.
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like I'm a dad, so I watch it, but Pooh basically just quotes this thing, and he says, so Christopher Robin, he grows up and he's like trying to solve this big problem at work, and he says like he's trying to figure out like how to save money, and eventually comes up with this like PTO, and this is taking place back in like the 40s or 30s or whatever in the UK. So anyways, like he talks to Pooh, and Pooh's like, sometimes the best of something comes from doing nothing.
So true.
And I'm like, it was just one of those things where I was not expecting Bophades Nuts. Like I kind of just on a whim, talking to some coworkers at work, and we're just joking around at lunch. And I was like, I wonder if bophadesnuts.com was taken, and it wasn't. So I bought it. And so it kind of just like happened. And so I started to realize like, there's a need here. There's no like trail mix that I like. I hate, I won't name brands, but
I think I know which ones you're talking about.
There's a few that they're just like, they make your mouth raw. They're not good. They're just full of like just preservatives. And so, I made it something that was natural, that's like fresh. Like, I don't know if you've ever had like fresh cashews, but man, it's just like, and they're so good. And, all of them are like, the nuts are roasted in coconut oil, which no one does, typically using like sunflower oil or peanut oil, like oil that's not as good for you as coconut oil. So, and I've been started last November, and it's like slowly taking off. Like I just have so many things going on. So I'm just like, the next step though,
I'm going to need to come work for you though, to help in your production line, because I'm introducing you to the trail running world. And the couple of people that I've introduced are like, you should have seen their faces. They're like, what? Like that's so rad. One, just the name, but then what it is. So we'll chat.
So manufacturing is the next step. And like, that's when it would really take off, because at this point, it's just like me, I have like 1,000 other things I'm doing, but, I'm slowly like doing it, producing the content. Like I'm wearing like 10 different hats to run this thing.
Right.
And it's like, it'll eventually, like once we get to like that manufacturing point and, being able to get it into like Walmart and like that's, that's when I think we'll really start to see like a difference, and just providing like healthier alternative options. Like, I don't know if you know who Mr. Beast is.
Yes,
So
I've become familiar with Mr.
yeah,
Beast in the last year. I like I've tried his D's nuts
yeah, like
bar.
his whole thing was like 28, 29 or something. And so like, what he's doing is awesome. And I love his content and what he does. But that was kind of the same thing for me, is like I just wanted to create like healthier options for people who care about their health, care about like what they put in their body. Like so much of like the chocolate is not like, it's just has stuff that it doesn't
It
need.
has
Like,
so many fillers. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the chocolate that I have is like from Peru. It's made of 3 ingredients. They're like, it's all natural.
And it's delicious. Like
So,
what we tasted what did we taste? The energy one that has the
and
dried fruit in it.
and mountain, I think, just like
And
the
mountain. Yep,
crazy.
mountain. And both of them were amazing. Like
Yeah.
I'm super excited for more. I looked through your website. I didn't realize you had so many ways already to present your nuts and the fruits and the chocolate. Like I was like, wow, this is impressive.
Yeah, it took a long time to like get to that point. So I think I bought the domain in July. I kind of launched it in November. It was still like not the greatest, but I'm slowly like, adding to it and adding content. But
I'm loving a couple of the pictures you have on your website. Just saying, I just got shown
yeah,
one.
yeah, those are great. That turned out awesome. So I appreciate you being willing to
Oh my
model.
gosh. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. It's like when I find things that I love, and especially like we talked about before, and I know the person behind it, and I know their heart, I know their intention, and what it is. Like I want to share it out, and it just struck all the right chords. And so I appreciate, one, that you listened, that you've learned how to go inside, how to slow down, how to express yourself, like you say, through your photography or writing or your storytelling to your little girls, or even right here. That and then you come up with these products that have the same beautiful intention and character and purpose of soul and heart. I can't help but want to share that stuff out. So
So I know, I appreciate it, and it's awesome that we could connect, and just who knew, some
right.
things happen for a reason, and it's just nice to be able to find people who are passionate about the same things that you are, and
Yeah.
because you don't always find those people. So when you do, it's nice to
It's
make this.
very refreshing for
Yeah,
me.
it
It's
is.
just it's like eating that fruity trail mix. It was refreshing and like
Yeah,
filling, like honestly filling, soul filling. And so I am excited to see where I'm not one who, I don't really believe in accidents. Like things happen for a reason.
yeah.
And I feel like our worlds have collided in this beautiful way. And I'm excited to see what happens. Um, okay, so we'll put in the website, where people can find them in the comments. It's Bophades.com, or is it Bophades Nuts?
Bophades Nuts. Yeah,
Bophades Nuts. I looked at it this morning. .com. You're doing a great job on the website. It's clean. It's beautiful. I mean, someone like me, I'm not super technical. I can find my way around easily. Oh,
Do a caption contest.
and we're also gonna do a caption contest for that silly picture of me with my pink glasses on. So we'll let you know what that is, and we'll do some giveaways. So if you want to be a part of that,
oh, nice.
nuts, we'll share all of that along with you too.
Okay.
And those of you who are watching, go to the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. That's where it's posted. We will post it on our personal pages, and be a part of the contest. Like, get outside yourself, be bold and be brave, and like write some silly stuff down and know that it's okay. Express yourself. And let's find some fun taglines to help push along Bophades Nuts. If you have events or things, they're like, let's help Tyler get this good stuff out. Tyler, last thoughts. Anything else you want to share in regards to journaling, pictures, Bophades, your own heart and soul? Before I ask the final question.
Oh man. Yeah, I guess I don't know, parting thoughts. If I just had I think I like in our conversation when we were on the mountain, I think I mentioned I'm in the Army, National Guard.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that like I would tell my soldiers when I was a young lieutenant, I would say like you need to find your purpose in life. To find like the thing that you care about. You need to answer 3 questions. What breaks your heart?
Ooh.
What do you care about?
Okay, 1 second. We're gonna write these down.
Okay. So what breaks your heart? What do you care about?
Okay.
And how do you want to change the world?
I think you already answered my last question.
So, if you take that and you kind of make it into a Venn diagram, all the 3 circles, I think, in the middle of those 3 questions, you'd find, what it is that like your purpose, like what it is that is meaningful to you and like what you want to do. I think Angela Duckworth's book called Grit, I think is a great book, a resource. It's like helping people to find like the thing that they love and they care about more than just like a career, but like a profession, something that you could devote your time to. And I think that's just, I know too many people that they work for the weekends and that sucks.
Right.
And it's sad. And like,
there's so much life to be lived the other 5 days of the week.
Yeah, there are. And it's like soul sucking because I mean, what are you really doing? Like what are you fulfilled? And like that's to me like the biggest thing is like, but people can find fulfillment everywhere. Like people love collecting trash and like that's a commendable job being a janitor. It doesn't matter what you do,
Absolutely.
but you just have to find fulfillment doing it. And I think, if you do that, then you're not only going to make yourself better, but those around you better because you care about what you do. And I think that radiates. And so if you can help, if there's one thing that I could do to help people is like, that would be it, is to like, let's figure out answer those 3 questions and at least get you started on what is it you care about, like that to me, like breaks my heart. But and when people don't know that, and I hopefully through like what I create helps people to to find deeper meaning in what they do with their lives, makes them feel something. And I think like that's like kind of my whole intent with the images I create, what I write, is just to help people feel something, to like we're not alone in this, like this journey of mortality is not easy.
Yeah. Right.
It's
As
a
I'm
challenge.
it's definitely a challenge. As I'm listening to you talk, my mind is going back to the travels that I've had to foreign countries, South American countries, and watching them sweep with these old like straw brooms that they've put together. They're sweeping the dirt in front of their buildings because it has meaning to them. It means something to them. Or they're sitting on the ground, the dirt ground, and pulling, like decobbing corn, or they're grinding things. And when you talked about garbage, just an image just came smashing back into my mind of being in Guatemala and watching people who literally live on the dump. We were building houses for people who live on the dump, and the dump is huge. And you see all these little scurrying like ants in the dump, and it's people who are actually collecting different types of garbage. And you walk down their street, which is like an aisle, maybe as big as our desks between their front doors. And you see lines of like empty milk jugs that they've cleaned and washed, and some of them were sacks and some of them were doll heads, and how they had meticulously taken care of these things because it was part of their purpose. And I can't say it was their passion, but it brought some meaning. It gave them that bit of humanity of being able to go out and make a living doing these things. And so I really appreciate that you brought that up, because I think sometimes in our culture, it's the busyness of it. It's the, the accolades and the clout and all of the things that we're taught to strive for. And so I really appreciate you re-bringing that up of, what breaks your heart? What do you care about? And how do you want to change the world? And it can be anything.
Yeah. Like I read this quote the other day. So I don't know if you're familiar with like the running brand.
Yes.
They produced this, I have a copy of it. It's called Off. It's a magazine.
Okay.
And it's really good. I picked up my first issue, and
that's a clever name and they're producing Off.
Yeah, because it's just it has nothing to do with running. Like there's I think maybe like 1 or 2 articles that are like maybe about running, but it's just like about people. And there was just one that was just about like the art of getting lost, or like the art of like, getting lost. And like one of the quotes that the author said was, "We're always in a hurry until we decide we're not." I was like, man, that's so true. That's so powerful. And it's those like, man, I have a whole nother thing that I could talk about, but I know we have like no time. But like,
I'm like, let's just schedule another one.
I know, like because I'm going to start my own magazine, and because I just write like every story that I film, like I'm just going to turn it into a story and publish it, because why not?
Why not?
Because it's like I love reading. Like I hate like reading on my phone. Like I love being
I don't love that either.
I love writing it in my books. I like marking them.
All right. Same here. I like the pages.
So satisfying.
The interaction. Yeah.
And it's just like a dying thing. Like, I used to work at USA Today. Like that was my first job. And like, I would slowly see like the paper, like they would start taking pages out, and like, they'd only print like the sport pages like twice a week. And people are just like outraged. Like they just could not believe, like, cause that's what people look forward to. It's like, I want to see the sports section. I want to see the photos. Like, just doesn't exist anymore. So I think that's just another piece I want to add. Like, it's just another piece of the pie. But
let's talk about that tomorrow when we're together, and legit schedule a part 2.
Yeah.
Of Tyler Rickenbaugh, because I feel this coming from you, and I think it's important. Okay, so to end, how about 3 films that you feel like would make a difference, do make a difference, can make a difference? 3 films you would recommend.
Oh man.
That right? You're like, how do I narrow it down?
I mean, I'll lump the Dark Knight trilogy into one. There's because there's just so much like truth in that, and I think it's a story of a guy who had everything in terms of like Bruce Wayne had all the money in the world that he wanted, but he had no fulfillment. He didn't know what he wanted to do with his life, and it took him to, being like a thief, to realize like, man, I need to do something with my life. He's introduced to the League of Shadows and uses his his abilities to make a difference and like avenge his parents' death. So I mean, it's a complete story of and you see like his complete, like how he completely changes at the very end of like The Dark Knight Rises, where he's finally able to give it up because he realizes like, he has nothing to hope for. And he thought that Rachel was going to be like his thing, his person, but she wasn't. She fell in love with someone else. And then he's like, after everything's taken away from you, who are you? And I think that's a big question.
That's a huge question. It's part of what we teach here is like, you're not what you have, you're not what you do, you're not what you eat, and all that stuff can be taken away. And then what? So I love that you just brought that up.
Like literally everything is taken from him in The Dark Knight Rises. And it's like, who are you? Are you going to sit here and watch, the world burn as in a cave, or are you going to go out and make something? Are you going to go out and stop the bad guy? Like, so I love The Dark Knight. I love the Dark Knight trilogy, so that's like my always thing that I go to.
I love it. Got it.
So sports film, like absolutely love Moneyball with Brad Pitt.
Okay.
I think like the story behind that, like it's based true story, but his willingness to bet everything on this concept that was so new that no one had ever done, and basing it off of an algorithm on math, in the 1980s with Oakland A's. And like it's a phenomenal story. And at the very end, the Red Sox manager is like, kind of offering him a job, and he's like, the first one through the wall always gets hurt, and he did. Like he was just criticized, but then they, break in, insane records. And I think it's just a story of believing in yourself, and there's a lot of, I think we need more of that. So that's one thing that's like, are you willing to bet everything on to something that you truly believe in, like, and no one, like, especially when no one else does.
I'm
And
like, see now you're speaking directly to my heart.
so man, and that's exactly like in the Prestige, Christopher Nolan's film. It was one of
Prestige.
the Prestige. This one's kind of like it's about two magicians who are going back and forth, but it's like it's a phenomenal story. But I think the backstory is even more fascinating, which is why I love it so much, is because Christopher Nolan, it was one of those films where he loved it, but no one else really did. But he just decided to do it anyways because like it was like at the previews of like pre-screening it, like it was just horrible. Like it was just received horribly. But like in his book, the Nolan Variations, he talks about it, and he's just like, I had to do it even though no one else believed in me. And I think it's a phenomenal film, maybe one of his underrated. I mean, there's so many different movies that I love. But like that story, like that film became more meaningful to me after I realized like the hardship that Christopher Nolan went through to like produce it. And it's like, man, this is something that no one else thought like this is going to be good. And
Well, and
he did it anyway.
that piece you're talking, that piece right there, that we all have those moments,
Yeah.
and I very easily could be in one of those moments right now of like I've been trying all the things, the efforts, not feeling like it's appreciated, but that want and desire to keep going, even though it's not like everyone else does the things, and knowing that somewhere someone will appreciate it,
Yeah.
and probably more than one.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you bringing that out. Oh my gosh. I don't want this to end. So we'll chat tomorrow about let's do this again, because I feel like there's a whole lot more to say, and I love hearing your thoughts on all the things. So thank you for sharing you with us today, for sharing your thoughts, for sharing your heart, for being real and vulnerable. And I think one of my favorite things that stands out is the interaction with your daughters, of like you just being so real and just saying, I don't know how to do it anymore. Can you show me? And what does it look like? Like that's just, I think that's something that all of us could really use a lot more of. So thanks for being the man that you are, and for moving through the experiences that have brought you to where you are today. And if you are looking for really amazing trail mixes, go ahead on over to bophadesnuts.com, and you can order those there. You will also find those at the Spitfire, which is April 20th. So if you're a trail runner or just a runner or someone who wants to come hang out with good company and have good trail mix, head on over to spitfireultra.com and get yourself registered for that. We have a procrastination tax coming up. When, Leah? Is that
March 1st?
So if you want to save some money and order more Bophades Nuts, register before March 1st, and you don't have to pay the procrastination tax, which just means a price increase. So remember, take heart to the words that Tyler shared with us today, and just be real. Journal. Get your notebooks out. Start journaling. See your thoughts. Learn how to be expressive, even if it's just on the page. It's a great place to start. Tyler, thanks again. I appreciate you, man. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And for the rest of you, thanks for joining us again today. for Live and Unscripted. You can find these housed over at therighteousrebels.com. You can also scroll through The Righteous Rebels Facebook group. I'd go visit the webpage. It's a lot easier. And then join us tomorrow for the Creative Unraveling podcast. And until next time, remember, be bold, be brave, be a rebel. We'll see you soon.